You're busted.
Too much movement.
Yeah, you're busted.
That's the
He's
beauty
busted.
of the mouth call. See, the mouth call you can call without even moving, and so when that last approach is coming and you're holding your gun up and you're
Yeah,
perfectly still,
you can't cheat him do that.
no movement. Where the slate you're moving or the box call you're moving.
You didn't see Attaboy,
This
did
is
you?
just one of the many calls.
This old girl here, this is Attagirl here. She's been around for a while.
Yeah, many times I find myself in the theater thinking, I can't even begin to think of how I would get that shot, but they got it, and I would love to know how they did it. And the opposite of, wow, I can't believe that passed the editing process. How'd that one slip by? That was a horrible shot. You know, it's one guy's opinion, but yeah, I find myself thinking about that stuff all the time, and then I kind of step back and look around, and I realize that nobody else notices this stuff. They're enjoying the story, which is what it's supposed to be. But I think when you're a producer, there's that layer of the filter that kind of goes away. Like you lose a layer of that I don't know if filter's the right word, but all of a sudden you do see things that other people don't see.
I wouldn't say that I don't want to go to school because I want to train horses. I'm saying that school kind of interferes with me training horses. I want to go to school. I want to have my degree. I want to get it over with, honestly. I've already put too much money into it. So it'd be kind of stupid to turn around and walk away from it now. There's nothing wrong with having a business degree. It's never going to hurt me. If anything, it's going to help me somewhere along the line. I'm sure somewhere along the line it'll be a good thing that I went to school and finished school and got my degree. But I'd rather it would be tough to go and get a job and turn away from the horses. If I went out in the world and got a job, I'd be completely turning away from the horses. Because if I got a good job and I quit, I wouldn't get that job again. I'd pretty much lose everything that I just worked for. If anything, I'd rather roll the dice and run with the horses a little bit. If I got my degree and the horses, something happens, the horse industry falls down, and I can't do anything, make any money with horses anymore, at least I got my degree. I'm still in the same point, the same starting point that I was when I graduated. If anything, I probably just met some more people. So I'm still young, and I think it'd be fun. Go out there and roll the dice a little bit.
For over a week, I went without food for 7 days one time because I was taught not to ask for anything or beg for anything. And I didn't know that I could have probably went in and washed dishes for a sandwich, but I didn't do that. I just suffered with it. I had a place to sleep, but no money to buy anything to eat. And I walked from Del Monte camp to town every morning during that rainy time, and looking for other work. And I went to this one company. Matter of fact, it was the last government-run factory in the United States, I think, at the time. They made test bombs for the Navy and Army. And I'd show up there in the morning looking for work. I'd show back up at like noontime asking if they was needing any help. And again at second break time. I did that for like on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And on Friday afternoon, I told them I'll be back here Monday morning to go to work. And Monday morning, they put me to work. And I worked Monday, Tuesday, and half a day Wednesday. And my boss came up to me and asked me why I didn't eat lunch with when everybody went to lunch or take a break with them. And I just told him, I said, well, I'm not hungry. And I guess people had told him that I hadn't been going to the lunchroom, but I didn't have anything to take for lunch. And And so he talked to me and he gave me a little draw on my paycheck and told me to take off the rest of the day, go get something to eat. I went and got lunch and I couldn't eat it. I drank a glass of milk and a little bit of mashed potatoes. The rest of the stuff I couldn't eat. So that makes me appreciate food more, any kind of food. There's always somebody hungry every day. And food that's good to give people, I'll give it to them. Or if they got animals that can eat what I'm going to throw away, I'll give it to them. I'd rather not throw it in the garbage. And same way growing up, we didn't waste food. Everything was used.
I am a storyteller. I won't say that I always saw myself as that, but through my years of learning journalism and working in that field and seeing the impact that stories can make, that has shaped my career, my life in so many different ways. And it's one of those also things. It's also one of those things that you look at it and you say, it's a blessing and a curse, because just like I can't sit in a movie and not critique shots, everywhere I go, I think of something as a story. I mean, it's just how my mind works. And so I know that when I meet somebody, I might not know their story, but just about everybody has a really powerful, incredible story to tell. It's just, are you going to take the time to do it? So with what I do every day, I mean, most people walking around the streets have incredible stories to tell. They just don't know it, And I think that's one of the real powerful things about storytelling, is that we sit down, we determine we're going to focus on this topic, and then we pull the story out of them that they don't even know exists within them. Speaking about people, and so when you see somebody watch a story that you've produced, and somebody walks up to them and says, "Wow, I never knew you were that interesting," or something like that, you see how it can affect them. Those are the cool moments when the story of an everyday person can cause somebody to sit on the edge of their seat because of the way that you tell that story. Now that's powerful. That's powerful stuff. And that is when you encompass all these things like writing, and interviewing, and taking the everyday elements that are considered to be normal and boring in somebody's life and find a way to make it interesting, but not taking it away from being real. It's still real, but it's how you tell about it that makes the story interesting. The video that you shoot, the way that it's edited together, all of that pulled together, those are all elements of storytelling. And when you finish a story and you sit back and you watch it, I mean, that's a really great feeling. I will say most of the stories I've produced in my life, a real artist, I think, will say, you never finish anything. You just get to a point where you have to stop, So many things I've created in my life, I just ran out of time and I just had to stop, And they were good enough at that point to present as a final. But, that gets back to the whole addiction thing. I think, thank goodness for deadlines, because who knows how long I'd be working on something if I didn't have somebody saying you need to stop,
Well, she's not running, she's training right now. But see, her big deal was she's always so hard on herself. She's like her own worst enemy, you know what I mean? You try to train her within herself, but sometimes some horses are a different caliber. And she trains pretty hard, so she's pretty hard on herself. She hurts herself sometimes, you know what I mean? So it's hard to baby a horse like that. It's hard to train them within themselves. You got to teach them. You got to get them to like what they're doing and like what they're learning. And she just wants to run like hell, and you can't train like that. And she'll fall apart. That's why she's always got so many layoffs. She's always hard on herself. Always coming up with a problem. They're hoping that break gave her a little bit of time, get her adjusted mentally, settle down. And she was good for a little bit, and now she's got her head cocked sideways. She's a little bit better now, though. Relaxed. That's all he's really trying to do right now at all. He's just trying to get her to relax. Take all the pressure off her, let go of her head. There you go. Starts trotting a little bit. She's a tough one because she won't pull herself up either. She'll just keep going. So she don't really know when to stop. You kind of got to get her to stop on her own. Try to make them stop and then keep trying to run.
I think that for me, if I think
Oklahoma,
I was gonna say,
Oklahoma,
on our
Oklahoma, on our bellies.
on our bellies. That's where I was going to.
10 feet in front of us, and
Richard,
been
don't
watching
shoot yet.
these
Don't shoot,
birds,
don't shoot.
watching these birds come, and Carmine couldn't see them. I've been watching for 50 yards. I said, they're coming, they're coming. I said, if they turn, don't shoot, I can't see them, don't shoot, I can't see them. We're laying on our bellies.
We're laying on our bellies side by
Laying on our
side. And
bellies.
he was on that side, and I was on this side, so his body was blocking me. We saw the birds originally.
Yeah.
But then, Richard, they wouldn't come to us. You were calling, we were calling, I was calling. We
They
tried
gobble,
everything.
gobble. They were in
But
up.
they
were
didn't
locked
care.
up.
So we belly crawled up to the fence, and Richard took the decoy and set it out over the fence. And now we're laying on our bellies, and then we called, and they looked
And
up
they
and seen
seen
that
that
decoy,
and here they come.
So we were sitting there
Yeah.
waiting and waiting and waiting, and they were gobbling, and I
Yeah.
knew they were getting closer. I could hear them spitting and
Yeah.
drumming, and
And
I
they
knew they
were-
were so close, but I couldn't see them
They're
yet.
10 feet from me.
Yeah, he's watching the whole thing because he's on the right side.
And I'm shooting the left one, he's shooting the right one. And
then
I'm just
finally-
staying
yeah.
on the left
And they
one, staying on
finally
the left
came.
one. And I said, as soon as you can see it.
As soon as you let me know,
Hey.
Carmine, yeah. So I said,
I see him. One,
Okay,
two,
two-
BAM! And both of them dropped.
they were so close.
We stood up and made 5 steps and picked up two Rios.
two big gobblers.
Two big old Rios.
Yes,
That
that was awesome.
probably the
That was awesome.
That was
That was pretty awesome.
that was some hard hunting. Made it happen, and then killed a double like that. That would probably be that would probably be one of the.
Oh my God.
That would be a top of the list for sure.
It really
always
would.
killing your first bird with your son's always on top of your list. You know, always taking somebody and killing their first birds on top of your list. You know, them things are memorable. That not only they're memorable for you, but they're memorable for them too. You know.
The fork that I use, I've been using that fork for 25, 30 years because it's got a good feel to it. It's just right. I've got a spoon the same way. Even though every once in a while I'll use the other ones, but I prefer that fork and spoon. And like the cookers and even the cooking utensils, certain ones work better for me when I see somebody else get a spatula, say, and it's too big for what they're doing. Or it's not big enough. And they make a mess trying to use it. I use things that work easy for me. And I'd rather cook in cast iron skillets with gas heat, but I don't have that here. Even though I bake my cornbread in cast iron skillets. Because they go in the oven, and I don't like using them on a glass top stove. So you can't shuffle them. You ruin the top of the stove. Even though I would be careful with them, other people would. I don't have them where they would get them and do that.
It's not like it's been this childhood dream that materialized into this incredible job. I mean, I've had to work my tail off at getting to where the position that I'm in today. I mean, I want to qualify that statement because, you know, I was given an incredible opportunity right out of high school to work in a position where people that had college degrees and had 10 years experience were trying to get the same job. And I was offered a job like that as a 19-year-old kid working for CBS. I mean, it was incredible. And so I had that opportunity. And then I quickly realized that this love that I had for this craft had a very ugly side to the business. And so I got burned out after about 10 years of doing that, and I walked away from the industry. And I didn't know if I was done or not. I didn't know if I was done or not. At that moment, I was done. I was done with my life's passion professionally of being a storyteller. And that was a hard move to make, but But there was such a negative side to that bothered me so much I was willing to walk away. So that's how powerful it can be. So what was a hobby can take on a life of its own if you're not careful. So I taught for a while. And I look at that point in my life as a point where I think I learned more than the kids did, because I got to see students learn and grow from what I was teaching them, but also because I got to see people who had no interest in doing this as a career, but this was an outlet for them. And they were really, really good at it. Like, they could go on and have successful production companies or go have a successful career in the filmmaking industry. I know it because I saw those skills. I saw the potential there. But they didn't. And that's okay. To some people, it is a hobby. For me, I wasn't comfortable just leaving it at that. And I'll tell you, after 6 years of teaching, I had to make a decision. You know, in my heart, I'm a storyteller. I'm a producer. And I wasn't fine just walking away and saying I'm never going to produce another video again. So that's when I opened up my company. And it was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. I think I have a few that fall into that category, but that was one of them. I also think one of the best decisions I ever made in my life was the courageous decision to walk away from the field. Not knowing what lied ahead, but was to walk away from the field of video production in the news industry and make that decision to say, you know what, I might be done. I don't know if I am, but I might be done.
You know, I think if I really had to say why I would choose this job over getting another job out there in the business market or something, I think horses are a pretty good business market in Ocala. There's a lot of horses, and just been around them my whole life, so kind of understand them. It's a little bit easier. You get to skip a lot of stepping stones. And I guess there's really no limitations to what you can do with it, whether you do it for yourself or you do it for the horses, or you run it as a business, or you do it because you love it. I mean, there's just a lot of positive aspects that I get from it. I mean, I can't really picture myself sitting in an office working, and with the horses, you know, it allows me to be active, it allows me to be more innovative, I guess. I get to put my own personal opinion in the matter, and I guess the trial and error part's probably real cool, because you learn. You learn from every horse, and the more you do it, the better you get at it. And, you know, I'm still really young, and I think I'm okay at it, and I think I got a lot of time to get really good at it. And I've always wanted to be really good at it, so.
My family's very religious, and you know, they talk about you need to go to church and stuff like that. I just put a little thing on Facebook the other day. They commented on maybe if you went to church, you might be as lucky as Scott, my buddy Scott, you know. And I said, I am in church. I said, I'm out here in the tree with God and Mother Nature has one of the biggest congregations out there.
I laughed. That was a good line.
I said, if I need to talk to God, me and him can talk right here, and I don't need everybody else around me. And it's very peaceful. And it can be very spiritual.
Yeah,
I've done a lot of thinking. I've done a lot of soul searching right out there all by myself, right up in my little pine tree.
Spirit of the wild.
I like that spirit of the wild.
Yeah,
there's a spirit out there. There's you know, the passion. It's just a bunch of things all.
I don't see it myself very spiritually, but I do say a lot of prayers or do some praying while I'm out there, because it lets you think about things and all that, and you really think about what's important to you and stuff. And I do find myself praying a lot out in the woods by myself. So
I went to a boarding school, a Presbyterian-run school, and worked for my tuition, 4 years of high school. Worked in the dairy, furnace room, on the farm, and I had started hoeing corn like when I was in the 7th, 8th grade for $1 a day to help buy my school clothes. And then from when I graduated school, nothing around the area I lived in except coal mines. And they couldn't hire everybody, so we went north, went to Detroit. And I worked in high-grade food packing, sausage company, for about 11 or 12 years. And most people that worked there were from Germany or Poland and overseas people that didn't want to work with domestic people. They didn't want to teach you anything. And I worked for like 89 days and was going to get laid off. I didn't know that. But my supervisors had me straighten up the stock room. And while I was at it, I went ahead, I took inventory. He didn't tell me to, I just did it. Because I had to restack everything and clean it up. And I gave him the paper with all the inventory on it, packing supplies and everything. And he wanted to know who told me to do that. And I said, well, you did. You told me to go up there and clean up the stock room, straighten it up. He said, who told you to take inventory? I said, well, while I was cleaning up, why not do it? I did it on a piece of cardboard. And he had me he said, wait right here, I'll be right back. He was gone like 30 minutes. I'm in his little glass enclosed office and everyone looking at me. And it was hard to stand there. They should have given me something to do rather than me standing there. And he came back and talked to me again a few minutes, and he said, well, wait right here. Before I could ask him for something to do, some kind of work, he said, I'll be right back. So he was gone another 15, 20 minutes, and everybody turned around looking at me. He came back and told me, we were going to lay you off today because we didn't think you could pull the load. And it was because the older people had been there for 30, 40 years, didn't want to teach you anything, didn't want to help you. And ended up, and 60 days later, I was their supervisor. They didn't like it, but I was their supervisor. 18 years old, and them been there 30 years and wanting that job. Because I always did a little bit extra for everything. Anywhere I work, I always do extra. And I done that, worked there for probably 12 more years. Then moved to Ohio and worked for a pesky sausage company for 6 years. And that plant was closing up. I went back to Detroit and worked for another company. And in 70, 71, the coal was getting, working inside the freezers all the time, that was getting to me, so we decided we'd go to Florida. Come down here in the same job that I was making $350 a week for up there, paid $80 for 7 days. For 40 hours up there. And so I started building fence. I've been here since 70, 71, built fence all these years.
If you're just your average Joe and you're out there betting, they'll look at things like what color is the horse, what's the horse's name, something that intrigues them about the horse. Maybe they'll look up the jockey, they like the jockey, but I look at all that stuff too, but I take almost everything into account. It's a little different with my horses too because I see them every day. So if I am going to bet, I bet on certain things. If they got a problem that I know about and I know that problem's gone come race day, then I kind of throw that out of the equation. If that's why he ran bad last time, I know that. Everybody else doesn't know that, which is important too about training. A good trainer will fix them. Don't throw the horse out. I like to bet on horses like that. Sometimes they throw a bad race. If you're a good trainer, you fix the problems and you go back to form. So I kind of go what I expect my horse to do, what he's capable of doing first and foremost, and then I evaluate him in the race. And if he can't win the race, if he can't if he runs his race, his day, and it's not good enough to win, sometimes I can see that on paper. And I know that. And the only way you're going to win a race like that day is for everything to go your way. And for maybe something to happen in your favor, like maybe the horse that's supposed to win it goes out there and gets tired because somebody else is running with them on the front end or something. You know, but you got to take what you can get. And that's more important about jockeys too, in my opinion. You know, a good jockey rides within the horse. And I always said, you know, you only got a certain amount of gas. So save what you got and try to get to the finish line. You know, you're just a passenger. You're just driving the car. The car can only go so fast. If you rush the car, you might run out of gas. If you save it up, you know, you never know, something might happen. If you got the best horse, it don't really matter, as long as you stay in your element.
When you're sitting out there in the woods and that gobbler comes out of the woods and appears out of nowhere in the red, white, and blue majestic look of his, and he's all fanned up and he's gobbling right in your face, and he coming in, getting closer, 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 and your heart's pounding. That's what the passion's about. That's what makes turkey hunting. And anybody that I've ever took out in the woods that has saw that show or seen that show right there, I call it the show, they've been hooked on turkey hunting. And Richard said it earlier, when he saw that first bird come in that day and he saw that bird strutting and gobbling and all that activity, you were hooked on turkey hunting, true or not?
Yeah.
And it's the same with everybody. And that's what gives you the passion that we have to go turkey hunting year after year, is that right there.
My passion is tricking the birds. That's the passion that I get. I get the passion of fooling the whitetail. I get the passion of tricking the turkey. I get the passion of finding where the ducks are feeding. I get the passion of sneaking up on a gator and killing the gator. It's the thrill. It's the excitement. It's the springtime for turkeys. It's early in the morning. The woods are just waking up, and it's just you and the bird. It's nobody else out there to tell you what to do, how to do it, or nothing. It's your challenge. It's you and that bird. You're in that bird's living room. You're not in your living room, you know. So when you go out there, you have to put yourself like you're that bird. You got to be that bird to talk him into coming in there. You got with a deer, you have to be scentless. You have to hunt the wind. You have to. These animals are wild and they have very good senses. Not just any Tom, Dick, or Harry's going to go out there and shoot a turkey. If a turkey could smell, you'd never kill a turkey.
That'd be very,
Okay?
very,
If
very
a turkey had a
difficult.
nose, you probably would never kill a turkey. So the passion for me is not so much the thrill of the kill. It's about being out there in the woods, learning the animal that I'm hunting, its environment, its habits, how it talks, how it walks, and all that, and then learning that, and then taking it and sharing it with other people. That's my passion, because I've spent all my time out there. I don't take 20 people and go out in the woods. I'm out in the woods a lot of times by myself, all by myself, nobody around.
I can remember one of the worst days of my life. I got up on stage at a critique session at this camp in Arizona. I was 20, and he was the editor of the year for the entire country for the National Press Photographers Association, and he was watching my video up on stage in an auditorium full of people up on the big screen. I was the only one sitting on stage, and he stops my video and he says, "You need to find a different career." Now listen, there's humiliation, and then there's that. I mean, it was a whole nother level of humiliation that I'd never experienced before. That was the longest plane ride home in my life. I thought at that point, I had wasted 5 or 6 years up to that point. Chasing a hobby. And so here's what happened, and this is the important part of the story. I get back, and I'm getting off the plane in Orlando at OIA, and my boss calls me, because I still worked at CBS at the time, and he said, "I need you to go to Tallahassee." And I said, I'm not even off the plane yet. He said, "Well, George Bush and Al Gore are locked in a deadlock in Tallahassee, and we don't have a president." He goes, I need more photographers up there. Can you head up there? We need help." So immediately I was taken from the most humiliating moment of my professional life, where I had zero confidence. I mean, my confidence fell through the floor, not on the floor. Like, I was underneath the ground. I was so self-conscious about my ability. And I was thrust into this worldwide story. There were news stations from all over the world, satellite trucks as far as you could see. And I had zero confidence. And I had a photographer, by the way, who had just won his first Emmy the weekend before in Miami, so I was already intimidated by him. He pulls me aside and he said, "What's up with you?" This was up in Tallahassee. And I said, "I don't know." I said, I don't think I'm good enough to be here." He said, "I don't care if you're good enough to be here or not." He said, "You're here and we need you to work." He goes, "You're good enough." He goes, "And if you're not, you need to act like you are because you look like you're scared." I'll never forget that as long as I live, because that was like one of those moments where I was like, I got to just suck it up and figure it out as I go. And so kind of baptism by fire, yeah, that's exactly what happened. But for me, it worked. And that was one of those turning points in my life where it could have gone either way. I mean, I could have walked away literally in tears because I was so shaken by what had just happened and so intimidated by all the people around me. But I talked to him, and then all of a sudden it was as if I had this sense of who cares? Who cares what everybody else thinks? Let me just do what I know I can do. And if that's not good enough, then I'll find out on the backside that I can't cut it. But let me at least give it one last shot. And you know what? I did a decent job up there. And then it just built on and on from there.
We had a wood fireplace where growing up, and you could take like a brown grocery bag, and you could roll up a pork roast or a beef roast in that brown bag and grease it. Put what we call lard, it's grease. Grease that bag, roll it up tight so the ashes don't get on it, and bury it underneath the ashes in the fireplace. It's like a slow cooker. It'd be done by evening time. It's almost like a crock pot, only it was in the oven under hot ashes. And the paper never did burn. And just take the paper off, you got a clean, good roast of the evening. You bake potatoes under there. I've even fried eggs, even here in Florida one time when the power was out. One place we lived, we had a fireplace, and I would always, I could take one of my old cast iron skillets and fry eggs, pancakes, or whatever in the fireplace by holding the skillet over it. There's always a way of fixing something to eat, if you know how.
Carmine was the turkey hunter. I was just a hunter. I deer hunted, duck hunted, hog hunted, did all them things. Plus I've run all these woods around here. And Carmine lived in New York. He lived here, but he never ran these woods down here. And he always turkey hunted up north. Didn't really turkey hunt a whole bunch down here.
No, not at all. I didn't even know there was turkeys down here until I found out when I was up north.
And then, so he came down, tried to turkey hunt or whatever, And then one year, he says, "Hey, want to kill a turkey?" He come down, let's go turkey hunting. Kill a turkey? What the hell, the turkey's out. So we went over here to Cash's property over here.
Yeah.
On Levy Hammond.
Yep, that's right.
He came down and showed, "Where's some turkeys?" And I said, "Well, there's turkeys all around Half Moon over there, and this is where we used to hunt. We used to hunt this little piece of property, and there was turkeys roosted in there all the time. I'd see them when I'm deer hunting." So we went over there to Cash's to do a turkey hunt, and he had all his calls and stuff, and I was always wanting to just shoot a turkey whenever I'd seen him at the deer stand, just pow, shoot him when I got me a turkey.
Yeah.
And so Carmine did the calling, which is the traditional way of hunting the turkeys. And I don't think we got anything that first year.
No, we didn't. But I have a little something I'd like to add to that first.
That was the initial first
Yeah.
time that he came down wanting to kill a turkey. And then a year passed because he would go back to New York.
Right, and to come back the next spring.
And I would
And then-
continue to deer hunt and duck hunt and all, and then next spring would roll around and here come Carmine. "Hey man, I'm gonna come down and kill a turkey. Find me a turkey. Find me a turkey." So I think the second year, came down, I said, "All right, I'll find you a turkey." And I found him a turkey. And he came down on a Friday night at 10 o'clock at night, got up at 5 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning. Me, him, and Keith went out to the woods out there and set up, and I wound up putting him damn near up underneath the bird because when he gobbled, he was right straight up over the top of us, just about. It was like right there. Yeah. And I said, I looked at him, I'm like, well, there's the turkey. And so we're all kind of like in a little wad, and I'm sitting right behind Carmine. I said, right there, yes, you hear him? Everyone's like, damn. So directly Carmine started calling the bird.
It's funny because we were sitting side by side just like
I was
this.
behind you.
You were right there. I was like
I
this.
was right behind you.
I was
looking
like
over
this.
your shoulder.
So the bird
Not
flew
looking at
down.
yourself.
The bird flew down. Yeah, bird flew down, and he's coming. And I got this long-barreled gun, and I'm sitting here just like this, right? And he's coming in. He's coming in. And Richard's like, go ahead, Richard. Do what you're doing.
There he is.
Carmine, no,
Shoot.
And so I'm trying to keep the gun on him, and Richard's shaking me like that to shoot the bird. That's literally what happened.
That was the very first time the bird came in 15 yards. Boom, and he missed him. I'm like, holy crap, you missed him. I don't believe you missed him.
Yeah, it was shaking me so bad I couldn't keep the barrel on the bird.
Right in your face, the turkey, right in your face, he missed him.
That was pretty cool.
So that was the first successful, and that hunt is what hooked me.
Yeah, when that bird comes
That right
the show.
there is what hooked me. From that hunt right there on, I was hooked. Carmine left, and I went on my next hunt with Marshall, and went underneath the bridge, and a turkey come down, boom, and gobbled right in front of us. Marshall killed him, and I'm like, that was the same year I did both them hunts, and I was hooked. I said, I got to learn how to talk to these birds. I can talk to everything else, but I can't talk to a turkey. And that's when I started learning how to call, and that's when I started learning what they do, what they don't do. Started learning their habits. Started learning more about turkey. You know, you want to kill a turkey, you got to be a turkey.
You remember my owl hooter? That first day of chassis? So I had this owl hooter. We were gonna roost this bird. Yeah, there was a rinky dink owl hooter. This was back in the 90s. They weren't all that great, I guess, or the one I had wasn't. So I took it out. They didn't know what it was at the time. But I said, I want to sound like an owl and roost this and get them to gobble. So I take the owl hooter out and I go, woo, hoo, 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 or whatever. And Richard looks at me, he goes, him and Keith, he goes, what the hell is that? I said, it's an owl hooter. He goes, give me that thing. Richard, he throws it down on the ground. He goes, I'll show you how to owl hoot. And then he goes, with his mouth, just regular, woo, 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 ow. I mean, sounded just like an owl. I was like, I wanted to take my hooter and throw it in the woods.
How much did you pay for that?
Yeah, really. It was like $20. 1999 or something back then.
Hey, when I hooted, what happened? Gobble, 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 gobble.
Yeah. That was pretty cool.
I can't hoot like I used to. I quit smoking. I can't hoot no more.
Let me hear you hoot.
I ain't even going to attempt it.
Come on, give me one hoot.
Hoo.
Oh, you can still hoot.
Ain't the moon.
Come on.
That was good though. You can get them birds in the bays and stuff like that to gobble, but you can't hardly get them out in the scrub to gobble. They're two different monsters.
They do.
Yeah, they will, but there ain't nothing
Not as
like the
much.
bay birds. They're two different monsters.
It's a pretty cool horse. This is my dad's horse. She's by El Prado. He's a pretty nice sire. Got her out of a sale, and she was running over in New York when he got her. Everything was going good. About I don't know, a few months down the road, she come up with a little her foot. She had a real bad problem with her foot. She got this abscess. See, real bad abscess. They took the abscess out, fixed that up, put her back in. She was training, everything was good. And then the abscess came back up again. But this time it was a little bit worse. This time her leg was like completely swollen up from the abscess. It was a chronic abscess. They couldn't get it out. Thought they were gonna have to put her down. Didn't think she'd ever be able to do anything again. Didn't look like she's gonna make it. And she took her to the clinic and they did a crazy surgery, cut her foot open. And we had to just completely take crazy good care of this horse's foot. We still take care of it every day. Put all kinds of crazy antibiotics and stuff like that on her, you know, make sure she doesn't get infected. And she they had to put this special shoe on her foot, duct tape her foot, fix her all up, and then keep it completely clean, take it out, clean it every day until the foot completely grew back together. And you know, they said it probably wasn't going to happen, chance to work, going to get infected. got infected again. You can't really do much. So, but we took care of it. A year later, she made another about $30,000-$40,000. She's out there running again. Haven't had a problem with the foot since. So it's pretty cool.
I don't even eat chicken anymore. Very seldom, because they overgrow them and grow them off too fast. They don't have even cooking it unless you clean it and rinse it in vinegar or salt water before you cook it. While you're cooking it, you can smell wet feathers because they don't do a good job processing them. And now that they're going to China to be processed and sent back to the United States, it's even worse. A good frying chicken is 2.5, 3 pounds. And you cannot buy a frying chicken less than 5 pounds now, hardly. Maybe 4, a little under 5 pounds. 4 3/4 on up to 6 pounds. That's not a frying chicken. That's a roasting chicken or chicken and dumplings, say. It's not good for frying. It don't even have a good taste to it. They grow them off in 6 weeks. For a good frying chicken, farm raised, would take 6 months, 4 to 6 months. And they grow them off in 6 weeks. Now they're sending them to China to be processed, and you don't know what you're getting. Same way with fish. You used to be able to buy good fish that didn't have a fishy smell to it. Now everything comes processed through China, 99% of it, and you either got to soak it in salt water or either vinegar to take that fishy taste, your smell and taste away from it, to make it taste decent. Because they're all the fish you buy in supermarkets is farm raised. The water's dirty that they're raised in the fish. They're not in clean ocean water or rivers. Your rivers are polluted somewhat, but still, the fish out of a river or ocean, if it's processed right and clean, it's okay. But see, they run all that through the same processing plants in China or Taiwan or places like that, and I don't know as they keep the machinery and equipment clean. It's just.
I don't know if he's going to admit it, but at the places that he goes to and stuff is where I took him, so he knows how to go in there, because he won't go in there in the dark. Okay?
Oh, he's still
And
on
then
that.
even when you bright eye something for him and beat the bushes down and clear all the snakes out the day before, if that sun ain't up, he ain't going in them woods.
That's he's talking
Okay.
years ago. You know,
So
That's crazy.
Some of that is I don't know, rivalry. Because I have a little thing that I came up with. If you're going to get out there in these woods and you're going to put boots on the ground, you're going to have to earn your scouting patch. Okay? One of the things that I developed out here in this Ocala National Forest that nobody else developed was in the process of roosting turkeys. Well, the turkeys wouldn't gobble. So how you find a roosted turkey if you don't gobble? Well, you find his tracks. So I got on my four-wheeler and I drug roads. And I'd come back through there and I could see where that bird crossed that road at a certain time and what block of woods he went in, and I know he's in that block of woods to hunt. That's something that I coined. Nobody else did. They thought I was a fox hunter out there. Okay, so these are techniques that you develop, okay? Now the rivalry comes in with when I take like my attaboy, my decoy that I invented, my attaboy, because a pretty boy, I named him attaboy. These are things that I developed, okay, that's come into competition, and there's controversy about who developed it and who didn't and stuff like that. So
it seemed like it was a
from that form, it's a competition.
It sort of happened together, but you know, whatever.
Well, no, I did the decoy and all, and I came up to you and I said, hey, look what I made. And he went, wow, that's pretty cool. I said, yeah. I called him Attaboy. And that's how it all started. Then, in the process of that, we were trying to do some filming and stuff, and we did commercials, tried to, and stuff like that, with all our videotapes and all that stuff. And the videographer, I just never put it all together into a package deal. So that was competition. That's rivalry, whatever, and stuff like that.
We used to have like
So,
cinematographer of the year,
yeah,
who would come up with the best
video and stuff like that. That's the competition.
Richard
that we
always had to do one better than me.
I
or
had
me
I
and
had a
Keith.
better one. I mean, when I had Hollywood, there wasn't nothing better. I hunted this bird. This was another bird that I hunted and I hunted and I hunted all by myself with nobody around me. I went in there hunting, and I finally got the whole hunt on video.
The stories.
It's on video. It ain't no story. It's on video. It's documented.
That's not how the story
It
went.
is documented.
Richard, you and I found that bird together on the four-wheelers, and we went back there, and we were sitting there, and the bird, we called the bird right into us, and I had the gun up, ready to shoot him.
That was the very
He
first
turned
time that
around.
I took you on.
He turned around.
When I was living on 42 and found the birds and told you I got some birds down there. Come on.
No.
And you had, and we called him up there. You're right. The very first time
We found him
called
on the
in for you.
four-wheelers. We came out of the woods with the four-wheelers, and we said, "Oh my God, look at the signs!"
But that's
no
the-
four-wheelers allowed, or a felony, or 6 months in jail. And we were both in shock because they had
But
just
you
put
found the
those
bird,
signs
right?
up.
And you
We
didn't
found those
get
birds
you didn't
together,
get the bird, right? And then you didn't hunt him no more. I hunted him
I didn't shoot the bird
because
that day,
I was 20 miles south of here.
and then you went and
didn't get
hunted
it.
him.
So I kept hunting him.
I didn't go the next day or the day after, whatever. You went
And
by
I kept
yourself.
going. I kept going. I kept going until I got the video. Yes.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we were together when we first saw that bird. Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I got the video.
Yeah. You did.
I finally captured the video. I called it, videoed it, shot it all myself. My very first one. So that was probably the best video that I ever did. I've had some other pretty good videos too.
It's not an escape because I don't feel like I have anything I need to escape from. You know what I'm saying? Addiction, yeah. I think you can look at my love for what I do, and yeah, I think you could say that I have an addiction for this type of stuff. I don't think it's a bad thing. But there are times when I'm working on a project, I can't let it go. You know, I have to keep going. And it's scary sometimes when you blink your eyes and 8 hours have passed, 10 hours have passed. You know, when you can sit in a seat for 16 hours, you know, how can you not question the addiction side of something like that? Because your mind gets so wrapped into it. Yeah, there's a scary element to that sometimes. I mean, I'll also say there's been times where I've driven home. I can remember working on projects in Orlando when I worked at the NBC station. And I had to be at work at 9 o'clock the following morning. And I was wrapping up a project from the day before. And I looked at the clock. I was editing on the computers in Orlando. It was 5 a.m. I had edited all night long at the station. I drove back to Ocala and went to work the next day. I think when you're passionate about something and you love something so much, sometimes that happens, you know?
It's pretty much all day. I mean, you wake up, that's all you got on your mind, that's your money, that's your livelihood, so you gotta get out there and do it. You gotta start early. You know, training starts at about 5:30, 6 in the morning. They get all the horses in and out, they shut the track down about 11. That way they can drag it and everything for the races, proceeding, you know, training hours. Races start around 5:20, so if you get done, you get everything cleaned up around 12, 12:30, you know, head home. Normal people get something to eat. People like me that just need sleep, just go home and go to sleep. And, you know, we live, you know, we're about 30 minutes from the track, so we get home, I gotta drive back over there, and then gotta load up and haul back in. So it's pretty all out. You know, we'll bring horses there from the farm, train in the morning, and rotate some of the ones in and out of the track. So you get up real early, haul them in there, switch them out, load them back up, head back to the track, and then take some more back there in the afternoon. If you got anything racing, you got to be there for Lasix and vet treatment and all that stuff. So it's pretty all day. You don't really get much of a break. Horses need help all day, every day. So.
Yeah, I'm a skinny chef, but I don't eat much. Used to I could eat That's when the chickens were 2.5, 3 pound. I could eat 1.5 fried chicken by myself, plus mashed potatoes, green beans, coleslaw, biscuits, gravy, drink a gallon of milk. I used to be heavier, but now I just eat a small, one time a day, plate in the evening. And through the middle of the day or morning, I'll eat a piece of cheese and some crackers and peanut butter for breakfast, because I don't really get into eggs. That when I eat eggs, it might be for my dinner some night, and I'll eat 5 or 6 at one time. But that's only 2 or 3 times a year. Otherwise, I don't even eat them. And I love them. But a few years ago, I could eat a 2.5, 3 pound roast by myself, just for one meal. But I don't eat that much, and then plus I work outside all day, and it keeps me skinny, keeps me weight down. I do drink a lot of liquid though. I drink a lot of water, and I drink Gatorade and fruit juices.
When I'm in the zone and I'm doing my thing and I'm editing or I'm shooting and I'm firing on all cylinders, it's one of the best feelings. I will say that. How do I describe that? I don't know, but I love it. I know when I'm seeing something come together that I really like. And I love pushing my own limits, my own boundaries, realizing that I'm pushing myself further than I've pushed myself before. That's a good feeling because I'm in uncharted water and who knows what I'm going to come up with. But I'll also say this, I think one of the best catalysts to growth is not being afraid to mess up, being afraid to try things, knowing that, okay, I'm probably going to fail, but I'm going to learn a ton in the process. And then when you do fail, because it's going to happen, figure out what you did to cause the failure and try not to do that again. But next time you do it, you might just knock it over the fence. So that's the story of my life because I've messed up a lot, but in the process, I also feel like I've grown a lot.